Are they still a tech company?
I think they are still insanely focused on building the product. It's in part driven by Zuckerberg, who's a product visionary. Probably he's in many ways resembles Steve Jobs, and it's I think he will stay as long as he stays involved in the company. It will be about really building great new products. And this is a standard wrap on Facebook. It changes too often. Make all these random changes to the website that people don't understand. But it's because they're trying to actually change things for the better.
Right. Well, so my understanding is that Zuckerberg is actually an evil genius. That's what I see in the movie trailers all around the country.
Well, I would beg to differ. I think everybody who knows him, who's been involved with Facebook, tends to disagree with that. The basic, it's sort of, I think the Facebook movie is a good portrayal of how Hollywood works. It's not really a portrayal of how Silicon Valley works, or at least should work. Silicon Valley is about positive sum game, where you create great companies where all the stakeholders can benefit, the founders, the investors, and our society at large. Whereas Hollywood really is this incredibly nasty, zero-sum game where everyone is just trying to stomp on everybody else. So I think the movie is a very accurate description of Hollywood.
With Hollywood
but I would say that that aside, I think one very good thing about the movie is that to the extent it encourages young Americans to think that they too can start great companies, I think that will dominate everything. We had the Wall Street movie in 1987, in the late 80s, which was a much more negative movie on Wall Street than the social network thing is on Silicon Valley. And that movie encouraged people for the next 20 years to go work on Wall Street. And so if this movie just encourages people to try to build great companies in Silicon Valley, it will do far more good than it.
So you were actually a pretty major part of the early days of Facebook. How did you get away with being in this movie so little?
Well, I think the movie was
pretty unscathed.
The movie was largely around is largely centered on the personalities of the people who actually were starting the company. It's somewhat less interesting as an investor, so I think it's really that. I'm happy with my part of it.
All right, great. So Peter, you're one of the only guys that I know that invests at the angel level, the VC level, and then also at the hedge fund level. Usually don't see those three disciplines in one investment. People would say they're all different kinds of investing, different horizons. How do you juggle all that, and which do you like more?
Well, I like all of them. I think it is very helpful to have the big picture inform the details, and details inform the big picture. So I think the two things tend to be connected in a lot of ways. I think that basically, I think one, for example, one sort of negative perspective we've had over the last 6-7 years has been that on the one hand, there's an energy crisis. On the other hand, the clean tech companies, for a variety of reasons, don't work. And so that's been sort of a very useful perspective in thinking about what not to do. And probably the one thing we have not done is any alternative energy investment. It may change, but certainly that's been the one hard tech area, by the way, people try to do. But I think a lot of it has been very misdirected. Alternative energy is sort of this ambiguous term. It can mean either more expensive or less expensive energy. Oil prices were $3 a barrel in 1973. They're now at $75 a barrel. Even if you adjust for inflation, it's gone up by something like a factor of 4 in real terms. And the challenge for alternative energy is to create something that's actually cheaper than oil. And to the extent it's something that's ends up being more expensive, I think it's just not going to work.
Okay. I just realized much time management, we have 2.5 minutes left, and Peter has a rather exciting announcement to make here at your startup.
Well, we've been brainstorming a lot on what we're going to, what we can do to try to break the sort of relative status we've been in as a society. As a VC fund, we've been investing in these breakthrough technology companies. One of the things we think is very important is to encourage potential young entrepreneurs to actually get involved in science, technology, and in creating all this great value for the next generation. So one of the initiatives that we're going to be starting over the next few weeks is a program for offering grants of up to $100,000 to up to 20 people under age 20 for starting something new.
So we're dropping out of school.
Stopping out of school.
This is every parent's worst nightmare. You're offering kids money to leave school and start a company.
Well, it depends on whether the parents are worried about the debt that the students are accumulating and so on. I do think there are a lot of things people learn in school. I don't think they learn anything much about entrepreneurship. A lot of the great companies have been started by people who've been quite young, and we think that actually trying to encourage that is very good. One of the big problems with the education system in both its undergrad and grad school levels, where it's a lot worse than when I went to school 20 years ago, is that it just costs so much more. And so you end up with people burdened with incredible amounts of debt. And while they may be able to track towards certain safe jobs, it's actually a lot harder for people to take the risks you need. And we think you're going to have to take a lot of risks to build the next generation company. So that we're basically going to be taking applications through the end of this year for 2011. The basic thing is you can apply individually or in a team of up to 4 people. It's a 2-year program, up to $100,000, and we will encourage people to do something from California to get involved in the breakthrough technologies. They can be anywhere in the world.
And it's 20 of them, you said?
20 under 20.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Sorry we didn't get any questions.